Welcome back to Behind the Curtain. In this module, you become an expert in spotting the red flags of agents who might not be true advocates. You know how to interview them like a boss and how to test their buyer-centric perspective using those insightful questions. Now, let's dive even deeper into the specific sales tactics you'll likely encounter, the subtle plays designed to influence your decisions and push you towards a deal. These techniques are widely used because, frankly, they work, and they've worked for me. They bypass your rational brain and play on psychological triggers. They are tools to accelerate your journey through the transactional system we exposed in Module 1. Recognizing them is not about being paranoid, it's about being strategically aware so you can maintain control. Stick to your bulletproof plan and make decisions based on facts, not influence. Let's expose more common agent sales tactics you'll see during showings, conversations, or when discussing offers, and arm you with precise strategies to handle each one. Tactic number 1, assumptive language, assumptive touring. This is when an agent talks as if you've already decided you want the house, or that certain future events related to the purchase will definitely happen. Phrases during a showing like, "So when you live here, you could put your sectional sofa right here." Or, "This backyard would be perfect for your summer barbecues." Or comments after a showing like, "Okay, great, we'll just need to get the offer drawn up after this." Here's why it's used. This tactic subtly bypasses your actual decision-making process. It plants the idea of ownership, a commitment in your mind before you've consciously decided to make an offer or buy the house. It creates a soft, almost subconscious pressure to move forward. It presupposes your yes. Here's how to handle it. Recognize it immediately as a technique. Do not agree verbally or internally with their assumptions. Respond with neutral, non-committal language. "I see, that's one possibility. Okay, I'm still evaluating that property against my criteria." Mentally reinforce your process and timeline. "I'm still gathering information on a few homes. I need time to review my notes and think this over. I'm comparing this to my plan." Stay grounded in your assessment, not their presumptive language. Tactic number 2, scarcity mind games, directly tied to manufacturing urgency. Module 1, video 3. This is a heavy hitter. An agent emphasizes high demand or limited availability to create a panic response, making you feel you must act instantly. Examples: "There are 3 other buyers scheduled to see this today, and they're serious. My phone is ringing off the hook on this one. I expect offers any hour. You need to decide now. Properties in this neighborhood always sell instantly. If you love it, you can't wait. You'll lose it if you don't offer today." My job as a listing agent is to give the script to the buyer's agent to say to their client. I expect offers any hour. I use that one all the time on buyer's agents because the idea here is that I have a lot of traffic. I have a lot of activity. Now, if they ask me about specific offers, I say, "No, I don't have anything in hand, but I have a lot of people that are interested." Here's why I use this on buyer's agents. It's to trigger the fear of missing out and bypass rational thought. The goal is to push you into a rushed emotional decision. Make an offer, make a high offer, waive contingencies before you have time for critical thinking, further research, or discussing it calmly with your partner or advisor. Speed benefits the transaction, not necessarily your outcome. They want you to act out of fear of loss, not strategic analysis. As a listing agent, there are subtle ways to push a buyer's agent to then push their client. A buyer's agent has hours and hours of time in showing properties, and the last thing they want to do is miss out on a house that their client loves. And so if I give them some fear of missing out psychology to then pass along to the buyer, we usually get an offer. So if your buyer's agent comes to you and says, "Hey, we need to act quick because I just spoke to the listing agent and they have a ton of activity on this property. Here's how to handle it." Just remain calm. Question the specifics directly, but politely. "Oh, really? Have any offers actually been submitted in writing yet? Or what specific data or recent sales support the claim that this always sells instantly? What's the average days on market for comparable homes here?" Verify if possible. A truly professional listing agent might confirm offer status to your agent, but often they won't give details because it's not required. Refer back to your plan, Module 2. Does this house, under this rush pressure, actually fit your non-negotiables, your financial comfort zone, Module 2, Video 3, and your desired timeline? Your plan is your concrete defense against their urgency. Stick to its steps regardless of their pressure tactics. Tactic number 3, pre-framing or downplaying issues. This is where an agent attempts to control how you perceive a potential negative by mentioning it first, but minimizing its severity or offering a simple, potentially misleading explanation. Here's a couple examples. The roof is older, but it's got a few years left. Nothing to worry about, plenty of life left. Or, yeah, the street is a little busy, but you get used to the noise and the backyard makes up for it. Or, the basement had a little water intrusion once during a massive storm 5 years ago, but the cellar sealed it up. It's perfectly dry now, see? While showing you a recently painted wall or new flooring in the basement, of course. Here's why it's used: to reduce the impact of red flags you might notice, Module 4, Video 3, or find in disclosures, Module 5, Video 2, making you less likely to see them as serious problems. Pursue them during inspection, Module 6, or use them as negotiation points, Module 5. It proactively manages your expectations downwards regarding property condition by presenting potential issues as minor or resolved. Here's how to handle this one. Note their comment precisely, including their explanation, but treat it strictly as information to be critically investigated, not accepted. Mentally flag the issue as a potential concern, requiring closer inspection during your own walkthrough, and absolutely requiring professional opinion from a qualified inspector, Module 6, or relevant contractor, a plumber, a roofer, etc. Do not let their language, reassurances, or visual cover-ups dilute the potential costs, safety implication, or inconvenience of a problem. Your job is to uncover the objective truth about the property's condition and risk. Tactic number 4, and I've actually had buyer's agents call me and tell me they were doing this without actually telling me they were doing it. It's called anchoring or decoy properties. This involves strategically showing you properties in a specific order to manipulate your perception of value or condition. And in my case, they were saying, we're going to come to your property last because this one really fits their needs. An agent might show you a property that is significantly overpriced, in terrible condition, or clearly doesn't meet your basic needs. The decoy or anchor property. Then the next property they show you, the intended target, seems amazing by comparison, even if it's actually just average, slightly overpriced, or only meets your criteria minimally. There's a couple reasons it's used. Now, I have used this in the past only because I know that buyers are going to spend less time at homes they don't like. And usually we have 4 or 5 properties that we're going to look at, and we want to spend the most time on the best property, but there might be something else that you want to look at. Now, that's the reason I use it, so we can go look at the properties that fit the criteria for a longer period of time. But there are definitely agents out there that are using this technique to manipulate your perception of value by anchoring your expectations to something significantly worse, making a subsequent property seem much better than it is relative to the anchor, rather than based on its standalone objective value or comparison to relevant market comps. It pushes you towards properties that might be easier or faster for them to close. Here's how you want to handle this. Evaluate each property strictly against your criteria, Module 2, Video 2, and the objective market data. The CMA, Comparable Market Analysis, from Module 3, Video 1, interview questions. Module 4, Video 1, listing analysis, not against the last unsuitable one you saw. Use your property evaluation checklist, like the one from our supplements, to objectively score and compare each home based on your plan. Module 2, focusing on its standalone merits in comparison to truly comparable properties, not psychological contrast created by a decoy. Tactic number 5, and I actually do the inverse of this when I'm looking at homes with buyers because I care about functionality and the cosmetics do not impress me. But agents will highlight emotional features while ignoring practicalities. This tactic involves the agent focusing almost exclusively on the lifestyle aspects, the aesthetics, or emotional feel of a home. Imagine entertaining here. Isn't this decor charming? The natural light, it's amazing. It feels so warm and inviting. while glossing over, rushing through, or actively distracting you from discussions about the age and the condition of the HVAC, plumbing, electrical, roof, foundation, or other crucial structural components. When I'm representing a buyer, it is not my job to become emotionally attached to the property. So if you end up working with an agent like myself, I don't care about the aesthetics. I don't care about the updates. What I care about are the things that are going to cost you money, they're going to cause you risk, or really, they're not going to work for your lifestyle. When we're talking about floor plan, the location, or how the backyard flows, those are all important things to consider, much more important than the aesthetics or the updates. It's used to create a strong emotional connection that overrides your logical, analytical brain, making you fall in love with the idea of the home by an emotion, justify on logic, before you assess the practical realities and potentially costly needed repairs or upgrades they want you attached, so you overlook functional issues. This is exactly how buyers buy homes. Emotion, and then justify with logic. So when I'm talking to a seller about listing their property, what do I focus on? I focus on the cosmetic upgrades that are going to cost the less, especially if everything is functional. I actually did a whole video on it showing what you don't need to do because, well, buyers don't care. They want the cosmetics. But you should care. You should focus on the cosmetic appeal, and then also, if you're going to have any costs and upgrades, the HVAC, the roof, the plumbing, all of those things should be considered. And that's what I try to get my buyers to focus on. So I tell them their job, fall in love with the property. My job, make sure you're not falling in love with a disaster. Here's how I would handle that situation and how I suggest that you handle it. Acknowledge the emotional appeal, especially if you really like the house. It's okay to love a home. In fact, that's your job. You should fall in love with the house. You're going to be there for 7 to 15 years. But consciously and deliberately pivot your focus back to the practical and structural elements. Use your showing checklist that you're going to have in Module 4 to systematically inspect the critical functional components like the furnace, water heater, electrical panel, signs of leaks, etc. Ask specific questions about system age, maintenance history, and utility costs. Don't let emotion allow you to skip essential due diligence that you'll have on that first showing. Remember to buy with your head and your heart, but ensure your head is fully engaged throughout the evaluation and inspection process that you're going to have on that first showing. Tactic number 6, and this goes back to some of our initial questions about them being on a team and who you're going to be working with. It's called the pressure team or good cop, bad cop. I'm sure you've heard of that. This happens less with individual agents and more commonly within teams or brokerages, or even involving the listing agent's broker. You might have a seemingly friendly, empathetic agent you work with directly, but then a team lead, broker, or negotiator from their side steps in specifically to apply pressure, often during tense phases like offer review or inspection negotiations. One person, your agent, is the good cop. I know this is tough, but while the other, the broker, the lead, is the bad cop who uses firm language, ultimatums, or emphasizes market pressure. The seller absolutely won't budge. You'll lose this if you push for these repairs or that's their final offer. Here's why it's used: to make you feel like the pressure isn't coming from your direct contact. They want to make sure that the rapport that you and the agent have is maintained throughout the entire process. So it feels like it's coming from an external, unavoidable force, the tough broker, the demanding seller's agent, making you more likely to concede or compromise. It's a psychological tactic designed to wear you down and make you feel like the resistance is coming from a higher authority you can't negotiate with directly. Here's how to handle it. You want to recognize this as a coordinated tactic. Remember, you hired your agent to represent you to all parties involved, including their own brokerage or the other agent's team if necessary. Communicate clearly with your agent that they are your sole point of contact for all negotiation and communication. Reiterate your plan, your boundaries, and your position to the agent and expect them to advocate for your interests to all involved parties. Regardless of internal team dynamics or pressure plays from the other side, don't let the bad cop, good cop tactic force you into a decision you're not comfortable with. Tactic number 7, minimizing written communication, pushing verbal agreements. An agent consistently avoids putting important details, advice, market analysis, specifics, or discussions about potential property issues or contractual nuances into easily trackable formats like emails or text messages, preferring phone calls or in-person chats for crucial conversations like offers and inspections. Unfortunately, this is why it's used. It's to avoid creating a clear, documented paper trail that could potentially be used against them later if something goes wrong, or if their verbal advice contradicts written disclosures or contractual terms, or if there's a dispute over what was said or agreed upon. It leaves room for plausible deniability and makes it harder for you to verify information later. The goal here is to help you avoid situations like this, but if everything fails and you end up with an agent that doesn't like written communication, which I prefer written communication. I prefer text. I prefer emails to track the communication between the buyer and the agent. Here's the best way to handle it. You're going to have to firmly insist on written confirmation for any significant advice, clarification, or agreement, especially concerning property condition, the contract terms, timelines, or costs. After a phone call discussing a crucial point, immediately send a summary email to the agent. Hey, following up on our call just now, just to confirm, my understanding is X, Y, and Z. The seller agreed to fix this item, and this item. And ask them to respond that they have the email. That way, you have a record of them acknowledging that was the conversation that you had on the phone call. If an agent consistently resists putting key information in writing or seems uncomfortable with doing so, this is a huge red flag. Tactic number 8. Over-reliance on the market as the only justification. Any buyer concerned, the price being too high, the condition being questionable, the need for speed, pressure to waive contingencies, is dismissed solely with variations of that's just how the market is, it's a seller's market, that's normal, or in this market, you just have to accept whatever the unfavorable term is. This is used to shut down your critical thinking, linking back to Module 1 Video 3's manufactured urgency and pressure you into accepting unfavorable terms or conditions by framing them as unavoidable market realities rather than negotiable points, which they are. Red flags specific to the property or strategic decisions based on your plan. It avoids providing specific data or strategic reasoning and dismisses your valid concerns. If I were buying a house right now and I had an agent representing me, this is how I would handle it. I would acknowledge the general market reality as you learn how to understand it in Module 2 Video 4, but demand a specific data-driven explanation and link back to your plan. Ask, yes, I understand the market is hot or cold, but specifically, how does this justify the price based on recent comparable sales for this type of property? Or, while the market is fast, how does rushing this specific disclosure review benefit me or protect my interests? Force them to provide reasoning beyond the generic market narrative. Your plan and criteria are specific to you, not just the market's general mood. And your agent's job is to apply their market knowledge strategically for you. Tactic 9, the limited access or exclusive opportunity play. An agent implies or states that access to a property is highly restricted. I can only get you in tomorrow between 2 and 2:15. And that's it. The seller is very firm. Or presents a property as a unique off-market pocket listing that only they or their brokerage can show you, implying it's a rare chance others won't get. Here's why it's used: to create artificial scarcity and urgency, making you feel lucky or special to have access, thereby increasing the perceived desirability of the property and pressuring you to act quickly before this supposedly rare opportunity vanishes. Pocket listings, while they exist, can sometimes be used to control information flow, limit buyer access to market data, and reduce transparency, potentially benefiting the agents involved more than the buyer. Here's how I'd handle this if I were in the market shopping right now and I was not representing myself. The question I would ask, is there any potential time available later this week? Or is this restriction absolute? Or is this restriction coming from the seller's schedule? Or is there another reason for the limited access? For pocket listings, ask why it's off-market and how they are determining its value without full public exposure to market comparables. While legitimate reasons for limited access or off-market deals exist, be aware this can be a tactic. Stick to your process for evaluating the property itself, Module 4. Regardless of the perceived exclusivity of access, don't let the exclusive feeling bypass your due diligence. And tactic 10, the absolute #1 must-have if you're an agent / salesperson, you have to build rapport. And sometimes agents do this excessively to build that personal connection and the friend zoning. An agent will quickly try to find excessive common ground, interests, mutual acquaintances, personal stories, and uses this connection throughout the process, potentially sharing too much personal information about themselves or the seller, or expecting the relationship to operate like a friendship rather than a professional engagement, and that's what it is. There's nothing wrong with being friendly, joking around, or having a good time with your agent. You want the process to be enjoyable, especially because it's stressful. But the important thing to note here is that, are they excessively doing this, and are they losing focus on the objective when you're looking at a house? And that's looking at the roof, the condition, the HVAC, the water heater, the compressor outside. Are they staying on track for their role in the showing? Remember, their job is to help you to avoid a disaster, and your job is to find the right house to fall in love with. And I'll tell you exactly why it's used. It's used to build a strong personal connection, and it's to, Let me tell you exactly why it's used. It's used to build a strong personal connection and quickly, making it harder for you to be objective, negotiate hard, or say no or walk away, because you feel personal bond or loyalty. It blurs the lines between professional representation and friendship, potentially compromising the professional distance needed for tough negotiation or delivering hard truths. Here's how I would handle this if my friend were my real estate agent and I wasn't representing myself, because it's fine to have friendly, positive rapport, but you need to maintain clear professional boundaries. Recognize when excessive personal connection or friend zoning is being used to influence your decision or make you uncomfortable asserting your needs. You have to stay focused on the business aspect of the transaction, the agent's professional performance, and their advice related to your plan and your property. Keep that in focus. Remember, your relationship is primarily professional, centered around their fiduciary duty to you, which requires objectivity. These are the most common subtle tactics. Some agents don't even know they're using them, but it's important to recognize these specific tactics. It's essential because they are designed to bypass your rational defenses and your carefully built plan. See the tactic for what it is, understand its purpose to move the transaction forward, and consciously choose to respond based on your predefined plan that you made in Module 2. Your objective evaluation based on Module 4, 5, 6, and 7, and your understanding of your rights and the contract, not their influence or pressure tactics. This requires practice and awareness. Your awareness is your power. By identifying these plays, you protect yourself from being steered into a decision that doesn't serve your best interests. This is how you operate at a higher level than the average buyer, and even many agents who just run around and use the standard playbook without even thinking. You now know how to vet agents, spot red flags, and identify specific sales tactics. You're equipped to choose and manage the right professional partner who respects your informed approach. And our final video for Module 3 will solidify your understanding by defining what a truly excellent agent advocate actually does and sounds like, providing the positive benchmark for your agent search.